Hey, good morning everyone, it's Tractor Man 44. Hopefully you'll be in for a treat today, simply because this is kind of an odd old tractor. I haven't had this thing running since 16, about early spring of 2016, so it's coming right up on 5 years, you know, like 4 years and 10 months or something like that since the last time I had it run. I went to start it about 3 months ago, didn't have any spark. Weather was starting to turn cold, covered it back up with about 5 or 6 tarps. But at any rate, I've got a little project coming up that's going to need the area that this thing is setting in, so I've got to get it and a few other tractors out of the way. There's the old Avery up there that's got to get out of the way, the John Deere, this thing, and then that 44 right behind me, and maybe even the old John Deere A behind it. That all might have to get moved out of here. So today's the day I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't figure out what happened to my spark. Hopefully it's just a little oxidation across the points on the points inside the magneto, and hopefully it'll be a simple go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look and see how come it don't have any spark, see if we can get her fired up. Oh, I tell you what this is. This is an Allis Chalmers. It's a late 40s Allis Chalmers. I think they referred to it as a motor patrol. It's based on a WC series Allis Chalmers, or the model prior to them coming out with their very, very popular WD series. And then of course they went on to the WD-45, which was even a little more powerful tractor. But this is based on the WC series. There's no hydraulics, no anything on it, no electric. Well, it has electric starting. That's about the only amenity that it has. No hydraulics at all. But this guy here is all manual control. You have to unbolt it, physically unbolt it, and shift this backwards with this latch here on this rail, and then select what hole you want to rebolt it in order to get the angle that you want. This is a 10.5 foot moldboard on this guy here, so it does a very good job grading snow and also grading gravel in my driveway. But you can see right here, if I get a chance, I might show you. This is where the farm tractor ended right here. Normally there would be your front steering pedestal with 2 front wheels on front, or possibly a bolster and a wide front end similar to what we have there. But what they would do, this would go to the factory, and the factory would cut that front end off, and they would add this extension on there to give you much better operating road grader. A lot of small towns, small municipalities and things like that, small construction companies use these very much back in the late 40s and early 50s. These are a little different than a distributor, even though it has basically the same components. There's a little bit of rust and stuff in here. That's not a big deal. You see this brass pin sitting down here. That brass pin actually comes in contact with the spring up here on that coil. And then of course you can see the points all the way down here about 7 o'clock, and I see some oxidation and stuff down there. So I'm going to look a little closer inside there, probably get a mirror, take a little bit closer look at that, and see if I can see some oxidation on the actual contacts. You can see the drive gear right there. The drive gear is what rotates this fellow right here that's going to distribute the spark, the spark to the correct cylinders. And then here's your little brass depression on that coil that this brass pin has to come in contact with to get that spark. There's a trip mechanism inside here that builds that spark and then trips it, and that's what goes ahead and discharges it through here at the proper time to get to the cylinders. Down here, like I said, at 7 o'clock is a set of points right there, and then there's the actual contacts over there at about 9 o'clock. See what I see oxidation in there. That's good. So I'm going to get my points file and kind of clean that up a little bit. Just like on that John Deere 50 a little time ago, I had just cleaned my file before I went in there and filed it, and you can see that oxidation that's on there. So I'm going to go ahead and very gently hit that again. I didn't think I was going to have any trouble with the gas tank, but I think what's happened right now, it's blocking up. I think that screen on the sediment bowl is catching just a little bit of sediment from inside the gas tank. Unfortunately, that's going to be an issue, so I'm going to have to take care of that. At any rate, and it is running a little bit rough. This thing needs a valve job bad. Probably could use a set of rings. This took about a total of about 3 hours to figure out, everything and go through the whole magneto and to deal with a little bit of a fuel issue I had there and to get it to fire up. So I'm actually quite pleased with it, because now all I have to do is air the tires up and I can move this one on out of the way, get it to a better resting place and cover it all back up again, wait for the snow. Now the old machine looks a little bit awkward, and it is. You're not sitting down in the seat unless you're just transporting from one location to the next. It's got a foot clutch on it up here for when you're sitting in the seat, but because primarily when you're using this, you're operating it from this here, you've also got a foot clutch down here at the very bottom. So you got a dual clutch on this here. No hand clutch, just dual foot clutch. And then the brakes themselves, you have an individual left brake and an individual right brake. Shifting the lever is real awkward to get to and everything. But if you'll look down at the blade down there, you'll see this is how you raise and lower the wheel. Now, it needs to be greased because it's a little bit hard to raise and lower. See how you raise? Once you get a couple of hours out on the road, bouncing around and everything shakes loose, everything gets to working really, really a lot smoother. You can actually raise this a little bit higher. You can actually put down pressure on that side there. You can really get it to boiling up out of the road ditch. You can really do some good work with it. It does a really good job. If you notice, this tractor is fitted with chains on it too, and you really need that when you're grading gravel or snow. I tell you what, when those guys made a living with this thing back in the day, those men were men, because I tell you what, you run this thing for 5 or 6 hours, it gets you. You can obviously see your wide front end and your bolster, and that big, long, heavy, and weighted front end. That's got a tremendous amount of additional weight added to that front end. And you can see how far it extended all the way from the radiator all the way out. And like I said a minute ago, you primarily set down on that thing when you're transporting it from one location on the job site to the next. You definitely do not operate it from the seat unless it is smooth sailing and easy going. Anyway, you can see that it's obviously very awkward to use, in the setting down position. There's no way, like I said, unless it's exceptionally easy, just straight grading, right down a straight line run, there's no way you'd run this thing from setting down. Like I said, if you can set them in one position and not have to worry about handling them for a half a mile or something, that's fine. But if you're going to have to do any adjusting, you've got to be standing up to do it. Like I said, it's a little awkward, it's a little old, but you know what? It's a piece of Americana, and it's where we come from. And without machines like this, we would not have the fancy graders and things like that we have today. So I'm just kind of proud to have just a little bitty piece of the American history. It's a small piece. that's just a little addendum to the starting up. I had to move that out of the way, you know, because like I said, I need that area over there. So I had to move the BF Avery over here, then the John Deere 50. So I thought I'd go ahead and put this over here out of the way. That having been said, at least it's running again. This is TractorMan 44, and I'm out of here for good now.